Hello everybody and welcome to the Hereford and Worcester Chamber of Commerce Expo here at the Three Counties ground in the beautiful lee of the Malvern Hills, which you can't see this morning because we're covered in mist. I'm Bob Cartwright and this is Three Counties Live, and I'm here at the show today to meet fellow chamber members and share their services, products and a range of things that they do for everybody with the view of increasing their return on investment. Now, this is obviously down at the Three Counties ground, so if you're local to the Three Counties and within commuting distance today, it is open until 2:30 today. It's free entry, it is free parking, and there's even free tea and coffee, I understand. So what's not to like? However, if you're not within commuting distance and you're watching the stream, we intend to be streaming for the next couple of hours without any technical issues of if we can help it. It is live after all, and we will be talking to a whole variety of people we've got planned and to let you know, share their particular services, as I say. Now we're going out on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter and on Facebook, and we welcome positive comments, supportive comments, and also if you've got any questions for the people I'm speaking to, you can do that. But you can only do that on the YouTube channel. We're monitoring that at all times, and we can actually bring those questions into the live stream. Now, how are we doing this today? Well, it's quite clever really. We are a small footprint team today. I'm obviously on this side of the camera. On the back of the camera we have Rob from F8 Creates. He's giving us a hand today, and we have a mobile transmitter, and that's sending it to a studio over in Redditch where we have Jess from Original Content, and he's adding all the polish and graphics and things that are going on in the background. So it enables us to move around something like the Three Counties ground or any other event really, and without taking up too much room, and we can be fairly transparent, not transparent, but fairly mobile is the word I'm looking for. So we will, in between the interviews, we have taken various photographs which I'm taking as I go along through the day, and we'll be putting those up on slides. So between the interviews and conversations, we'll be showing you what's going on in the background. So as I say, if you've got this on the phone or on the desk or on the laptop, just have it going on in the background. You never know, you could actually meet someone today through the stream which could help your business and in turn obviously help the chamber member as well. So with that all said, I'm going to hand you back to the studio now while I go in hunt of my first guest. I'm with Robert Elliot from the Chamber of Commerce himself, who's just popped out for a few minutes in between his busy scheduled meetings today. What have you got lined up today?
Well, there's all sorts going on today. We're just about to have a budget seminar to talk about the events in Parliament yesterday.
Oh yeah, joy.
Well, yeah, it's be interesting to see what they talk about. And then later on, we've got some speed networking. There's about 70 people coming to talk about themselves to everybody. An AI seminar, and there's over 100 exhibitors here talking business, doing business with each other, and really celebrating Herefordshire and Worcestershire and the great businesses that we've got.
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a great start today. I mean, the parking is fairly full all the way around the ground here, so there's plenty of people coming through the door already.
Plenty of people coming, but anybody can come along today. It's free of charge to come into the expo. Register here on the day. We had 3 inches of snow on the ground this time last year, and I can see the sun breaking through over the Malvern Hills now. So we're hoping for a big turnout, and we're hoping for one great big conversation, actually.
Excellent, fantastic. Well, we're looking forward to it. There's going to be plenty of people coming down. There is plenty of people, as Rob says, on with the displays here in their exhibition, and it is open till 2:30 this afternoon. So if you are within commuting distance of the Three Counties ground, do pop down, and it's fairly easy to find us and fairly easy to park as well. So I'm going to hand back to the studio, let Robert get on to his next meeting, and we will move inside. So we're inside the hall now. We're just the main entrance as we come into the expo here. This is the food section where we have a whole variety actually, and a range of exotic foods, as well as a real smorgasbord of alcoholic refreshments, which I'm sure people will get excited about perhaps a bit later on when it's more appropriate time-wise. But the main sponsor of this area particularly is MFG Solicitors, and I'm with Tom Essler, one of the main people on the board there. So how are you doing, Tom?
Very well, Bob, thank you.
So you're sponsoring this particular zone, as it were. Is there a particular reason for that?
Yes, we as a firm, we offer a field to fork legal service. And by field to fork, I mean we have agricultural specialists, we have corporate and commercial specialists who deal with food production, the food supply chains, right through from field to fork, as I say.
Excellent. And what sort of areas are the legal requirements from field to fork? What do people sort of look to you for advice on?
Well, we're one of the leading law firms for agricultural and rural affairs in the area, and possibly nationally. So we have that real special relationship with farmers in the area. Within our within that sector, then we have corporate and commercial. So we deal with the factories that are processing the food which is produced by the farmers. We deal with supply chain logistics to get the food from the producers to the supermarkets. So within that area we play a significant role in the Worcestershire market.
Sure. And so, one would assume that from a legal point of view, you might be talking about, land inquiries and that sort of thing. But now you mentioned obviously the food processes. I presume there's lots of legal activity that's required to make sure that the processes are meeting all the appropriate requirements.
Well, obviously there's a significant amount of regulation in relation to food preparation and the production of food. We provide that regulatory advice as necessary, but that's only a fraction of the legal service our food and drink sector supply. Principally, as you say, it's a lot to do with the farms and farm production and farm production mechanisms, the ownership and delivery of that product to market. So from the corporate and commercial side, we act quite a lot we act significantly for the businesses that are actually producing that food. So there is, yes, regulation and regulatory advice is a big part of the area we work in.
I should imagine that's never ending as well.
It is never ending, yes. It's constantly changing.
Yes, of course. So final question then, really, obviously this is the area you're particularly specialising in today, but you presumably handle all kinds of other legal activities as well.
Absolutely. I myself, I'm a commercial litigation partner, so I deal with disputes and dispute resolution. They do come up in the food and drink area, as you can imagine. Right. But a lot of my work is in relation to corporate management, shareholder disputes, intellectual property, and that happens quite a lot in food, particularly in relation to food branding, trademarks, etc. So yeah, it's as a law firm, we offer a full service for effectively everything from birth to death and in between. We have a large, as I said, agricultural rural affairs practice. We deal significantly with a lot of residential conveyancing and private client work. We also have a large corporate and commercial team, which I'm part of, who advise regularly to businesses. Excellent.
And obviously, final, I suppose, thoughts are, it's obviously of great benefit to you to be part of the chamber, but also come to an expo like this.
It is. We are and have been for a considerable period of time now a patron of the chamber. We're very proud to be a patron of the chamber. We love coming along to this because it gives us an opportunity to catch up with some of our clients. And to make some new contacts.
Yeah. Well, as they say, people buy from people, so it's obviously much easier to see somebody face to face. So that's MFG Solicitors. We are coming back shortly after this next slideshow. As you can see, it's fairly busy here, and this is the central area they've got at the Expo, which is obviously called the networking zone, and various people are doing just that. So if you can come down to the show today, there's plenty to do and see, and if you need to sit down and talk to somebody and discuss business or ideas, or just get to know someone, then the networking zone is a great place to do it. A bit further down there is the Nespresso zone, which is where all the free tea and coffee is, and I'm sure within the next half hour or so that queue is going to be massive. But I'm going to be talking to someone from F8 Creates. Obviously it's the company that Rob works for behind the camera, and we'll be talking to them in just a few moments. So back to the studio. So now I'm with Greg at F8 Creates. As I said, Rob is behind the camera part of the team as well. So I thought it was only fair to talk to F8 themselves. Greg is one of the partners here, and you've been involved with the chamber for quite some time. I see your little hands of artwork everywhere.
Yeah, we've been covering the Expo in various ways. We've had a stand for, I think we worked out it's about 12 years now we've been doing it. We do the photography at the event, we do video coverage quite often, so yeah, we have a lot to do with it. And, the chamber also a client, so we make their website and various other things. We do video for them and that sort of thing. So yeah.
Fabulous. So really, I mean, this is now going out to obviously people who may not be chamber members. So what would you say would be the advantage of joining the chamber? Because obviously you've been involved with them some time, so you've seen all the positive things that have happened.
Yeah, so the Expo is obviously a really good perk. We love being here and get lots of work out of it. There's also the members directory on the website that's full of people that you can talk to, and there's member offers that you can only take advantage of by being a member, and yeah, various other things. They're always there to support you with, you know, as you're setting up your business or as you're growing. They're always there to kind of help you through those stages.
Excellent. And what do you think about, I mean, obviously you're fairly busy, you're Worcester based, aren't you?
Yeah.
Do you travel far for people outside the three counties area?
Yeah, we can do. I think our furthest client away is in the French Alps.
Okay,
we don't see them very often, but
yeah, but you all go.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if only. But yeah, that's. But yeah, a lot of our clients are local as well. We do work nationally, so yeah, it's a real mix for us. Okay. We've been going for best part of 15 years now, so it's, you know, ebbed and flowed. But we've been focusing quite a lot more locally recently since the pandemic. We found the value in actually being able to get together and have face-to-face meetings. We actually really enjoy that. So yeah.
Excellent. And I know you're also involved with the kiln as well.
Yes, yeah, we, so Hamish, my business partner, him founded the kiln, something we always wanted to do for, in Worcester. There was lots of creative agencies and companies all not really talking to each other, so we always thought it'd be a good way to get people talking to each other and working together. But it's actually become a really thriving place full of members, and we've got well over 100 members now, all coming in from different businesses, different areas, different sectors, small, some one-man bands, some bigger businesses. So yeah, and we work out there too because we love being part of the community. So.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I've seen a lot of your social media. And it does seem like you're definitely a thriving community, and I think also having been a solo entrepreneur at various stages in my life, it gets very lonely, or it's very easy to get very lonely, and certainly having the sort of networking base like that, if nothing else, just kicking ideas around over a coffee I think is one of the most beneficial things.
Yeah, it was a shame over the pandemic. We obviously had to close for quite a long time, and we kind of just let our members, we stopped all the memberships obviously, but we were so happy to see so many members flood back when we could open up again, and I think people had enough of being at home, specifically over that time, and it is difficult to work with the kids around and, you know, the dog around and all of that sort of thing, so people come to, one, get away from all that, but also, as you say, have a thriving community around them. And we find businesses will support each other in all kinds of different ways, and lots of members work together as well. There's members with sectors which can support each other. So
yeah, well, collaboration is a big thing, isn't it?
It's like natural networking every day.
I mean, certainly it's like collaboration today with you guys. So with you sparing Rob for an hour or two.
Yes,
bless him. Anyway, we're going to move on to somebody else. And nice to meet you, Greg. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much.
We're going to move to somebody perhaps slightly different that you wouldn't expect to find at an expo. Back to the studio. And we have one here with Adam from Springforward Landscaping. Now, you wouldn't expect to see a landscaping presentation.
No.
Surrounded by business people, but I understand it's really good for you.
Yes, so we've so I own Springforward Landscaping, and we've been going now for about 6 years. So we can say we're an established company now, and yeah, we provide all things landscaping and maintenance, based in Worcester, covering across Worcestershire and slightly beyond. And yeah, we find this a massive opportunity for us, because we're looking to promote the industry, promote what we do, educate people, and more importantly, promote the next generation as well, really. So that's what we're quite passionate about.
Good. So, I mean, I would assume that you would pick up contracts for doing sort of hotels and restaurants or places that's got a fair area to work on, but you're telling me that's not the case.
No, so we are primarily B2C. That's where we do a lot of our work. We are looking to maybe get into B2B if the opportunity arises, but yeah, we're quite happy with the domestic market, and yeah, we've just seen a massive demand in it over the years, really.
Well, if you're anything like me, I'm incredibly frustrated with the weather the last few months. My grass is growing like mad, and it's absolutely sodden. I can't get the mower on it.
That's it, and that's an area that we find difficult with the maintenance side. Is certainly the seasonality elements over from about November to about March, but landscaping is a bit more all season round, and it's something that you can do from January to December, really, the wide range of services.
Yeah. So I should imagine if you're fighting the weather like I was just suggested, that all of a sudden there'll be a glut of work and you're working absolutely all hours, God sends.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of feast and famine, really, but no, it's all good.
So anything sort of specialist here that you sort of pride yourself on beyond the normal, sort of artistically, creatively?
Yeah, so we're predominantly paving. That's kind of what we specialise in natural paving. So we've got quite a wide range of natural paving. We've got some decking, artificial turf. There's quite a wide range of services in the landscaping world, really. But yeah.
Well, you're perfectly placed in obviously Herefordshire and Worcestershire for plenty of work, I'm sure, because it certainly keeps growing around here, doesn't it?
That's it. Yeah, exactly. So part of what we want to do as well is we want to promote the trades, and that's why we come here. We're interested in association with another networking group. We're looking to expand a trade network. So that's where I want to get in touch with electricians, plumbers, roofers, all the other people in the construction industry, where we can educate and elevate that industry, really. So that's kind of another thing that we're kind of interested in, and want to make happen.
Well, this is the perfect place to do it. As I've said several times before, it is open till 2:30 today, free entry, and just come down if you're within commuting distance of the Three Counties ground. So I'm going to hand back to the studio and I go and look for my next guest. So now I moved further along the exhibition hall, and one of the things obviously on front of everybody's mind at the moment is energy costs, and there's a lot of discussion about biomass and heat pumps. So coincidentally, isn't it nice to bump into somebody here, Rob Payne from, how do you pronounce it? Hargassner. Excellent. So, obviously it's a business-to-business sort of exhibition here.
Yes.
But are you finding a lot of interest in biomass generally as a heat source?
Yes, absolutely. So we cater for all types of businesses and domestic properties as well. Biomass doesn't tend to work so well with domestic properties in the UK due to space issues, but for businesses it works really well. Companies that are looking to meet their net zero targets, this is a great option for them.
So in a rural community then, presumably you've got a situation where energy is not hard to come by, but it can be a bit awkward. And I know from a friend that's got a biomass system, it's actually quite a large system, but comparing to a domestic boiler.
It is, yes. That's correct. You do need some space for it. It works very well with people with a lot of land, especially if they have their own wood that they'd like to use on the boiler. It can save a lot of money in your fuel costs there. It gives you, the independence to be able to run your own boiler, and you're not subject to the gas prices going up and down as you've seen over the last few years.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I was going to say that because obviously in this community, rural community, a lot of people are going to have access to local fuel, and it makes sense to obviously save costs where you can. Absolutely. Now, I understand you've got a new heat pump coming out as well. Is there an interest? Where's the comparison, biomass versus heat pumps? So,
yes, we are bringing a heat pump out. Later this year, it will be released. So biomass boilers work very well, but they're not for everybody. Some situations would suit a heat pump better. In newer builds with great insulation, where you can put the system in that works with the heat pump, that's a great idea, and we absolutely support that. But it doesn't work for every building. Some buildings will support better with a heat emitting system that's running at a higher temperature. That's what these biomass boilers do. So you can take out your gas boiler, put one of these systems in, and you don't need to touch the rest of the system. That's not the same with heat pumps. There's a place for both of them. We love them both, and we're happy to bring them both to the UK.
Sure, okay. And with the heat pump, is there like a minimum square footage or acreage that you need to get the most out of the system itself? When does it become cost effective?
Not so much in terms of a heat pump. You can obviously size them accordingly to the size of your house. You don't need a huge amount of space for it. You need a little bit of room out the back of your house to put the unit, but it's not too much of a big deal there. With the biomass boiler itself, it depends on the size of the boiler you go for and the size of the building that you're heating. You know, obviously the bigger the building, the bigger the fuel store. But if you're looking at a smaller building, we have them where they've got a small day hopper on the side of the boiler, and it doesn't take up much more room than a dishwasher, let's say. So in terms of space, in that sense, it's not such a big deal. But it depends on the size of the building, and you do need some space to keep your fuel as well.
Right. Okay. So looking at the both heat sources,
Yeah.
they both can tap into your normal central heating that you've already got. It's just a case of just how much space you need for the equipment to generate the heat.
Yeah, the biomass boilers, yes, they can work on the same system that you traditionally have. Heat pumps can work on those systems, but it's not as efficient as you'd like it to be. So you need the bigger radiators and the bigger pipe work. Some people don't want to go to that extent of changing all the pipe work and changing the radiators, so a biomass boiler would suit them better. They can just work on the boiler itself. Heat pumps, again, fantastic technology, highly efficient, and we're looking forward to bringing ours out later in the year.
Fantastic. Okay, and final question is, how are you finding the show? Has it been good for you?
It's great, it's fantastic. We've met some great people, enjoying some lovely coffee as well. Yeah, having a great time.
Excellent. Lovely, Rob. Thanks very much indeed for your time. I'm going to hand back to the studio now, and we're going to go around the corner and see if we can find our next guest. So, continuing around the expo, we've come across a colleague of mine, Craig, from Vantage, and they do I'll ask him to explain. There's me jumping over my words already, because behind us, you can't see unfortunately, but behind us we've got a huge screen which is on the end of the expo here, which looks absolutely fantastic. Sort of thing you'd really want in your bedroom, you know? Anyway, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good show so far?
Yeah, it's still early days, but we've had a few people come up and ask about what we do. So yeah, it's looking good.
So, for people who aren't at the expo, obviously, please describe what you do, the range you do, because it's too hard for me to try and do.
Yeah, so we focus on video screens, especially large format video screens. There's two divisions to our company. We've got an installation and we've got a rental department. Installation is very much installation, so we'll go install the latest video screen technologies in businesses, say in conference rooms, theatres, places like that. And then we've got a rental department, so that's when we take our large format screens out and about to music festivals, outdoor cinemas, sports events, any event where they need a large format video screen.
Well, you can certainly see the video running there on the background as you're saying that, and actually it was almost perfect timing because it showed Worcester and some of the various events you've been to. So you're doing things like the King's coronation and that sort of stuff. Was that in Worcester, or did you sort of have several units all over the place?
Yeah, so all our screens are a modular system, so we can build them any size and they can be broken down into smaller screens, which allows us to do multiple events on a single day. So large events like the coronation or the Euros football, we have multiple screens out across the UK to clients. So yeah, we can do lots. Our focus, we did a lot for the coronation. Focus was working with councils where they wanted to use public spaces to obviously put the event on for the local community, bring the community together. So yeah.
And I've seen one of your screens in Worcester on Christmas, the Christmas Victorian Fair.
Yeah. So across the winter months, we are mainly outdoor. We do some indoor event like corporate events like this, exhibitions, but because a lot of our stuff is outdoor, I would say a large percentage of our work is across the summer months. During the winter months, we diverse, so we do more niche events. So we do Christmas markets, German markets, any type of a market where large format screens can be used for information, advertising, anything, where a large screen would be useful.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just give me an idea, because I can imagine if you've got a charity or something similar and you want to do a bit of fundraising, that obviously the outdoor cinema is a pop-up cinema somewhere on a sports field or whatever. It would be quite a novel way of sort of raising funds.
Yeah.
But is it an affordable thing to have a pop-up screen or a big enough screen to cater for a few hundred people?
Yeah, it's really down to numbers. So the smallest screen we do for an outdoor event is a 3 metre by 2 metre. That'll cater for around 150 people. To give you a really basic idea, That price for that starts about £1,000. Then we can go up to much larger screens, say an 8 by 4 metre, which is suitable for about 1,000 people. For charity events, there is money to be made. It's all about getting numbers through the door. You've obviously got to get a good balance between your ticket price versus your expenses. So your expenses would be higher of the screen, maybe a film license, small things like that. But we're set up to help our customers. So we've got a specialised brand called Shine Cinema, which does all the outdoor cinemas.
Okay.
And within that brand, we can assist with getting your film licensing. We can give you advice on how best to pitch to your target audience with ticket pricing, really to maximise your profit, especially if you're trying to raise money for charity or school or something like that.
Lovely. Well, thanks very much indeed, Craig. That's good. So there you go. If you're a commercial operator wanting a large screen, they're just telling me about the speed networking. I'm going to pop round and see that in a minute. Your commercial wanting a large screen, then you know the man to see, but also consider it if you're obviously a charity or want to do some sort of fundraising, and you can therefore get tickets and assistance from Advantage. So I'm going to hand back to the studio where we're going to have a peek around the corner and see how the speed networking is going. So I've moved around the corner. It's a busy day today, and one of the busiest stands here, but everybody's just suddenly run away because the cameras appeared, is arrangeMY Escape. And I'm with Ryan, who's going to tell us some of the popular destinations that people have been asking for, and also the demand from the corporate world. So good morning to you, Ryan. First of all, how's the show been for you so far?
It's been really good. It's been really, really busy. We always tend to find everyone wants a holiday, especially with the weather's been so cold that it has been. So yeah, everybody's always wanting to go away, and it's lovely to be able to speak to people about different destinations. The world's a big place. There's so many places to visit.
Well, it's sort of the world's still opening up almost, isn't it? After the COVID break that we sort of took. And there's been a change in popularity, you were telling me. So tell me, where are the popular destinations that people are sort of looking or asking you about?
Yeah, so I think probably one of the biggest destinations we've seen a huge increase in has got to be Japan. I think Japan is one of those destinations, there's nowhere else like it in the world. So I think people don't realise how big Japan is as well. You know, a lot of people would just maybe tend to go to Tokyo and maybe Hiroshima and then maybe Kyoto or Osaka, but there are so many other places that you can visit, and we will always recommend to do Japan as a tour, not do it independently. And that's not because it's a bad way to do it, it's just doing it as a tour means you have the expert of a tour guide, you're not going to miss out on anything. You typically tend to have all your meals included because it's one of those places, if they say it's chicken, you might not sure if it is chicken. So it's always a good way to do it is with a tour to make sure you include everything.
Yeah. I have to say, I have been to Japan a good few years ago, and I know the signage has got better.
Yes.
But it's definitely the place that you need some assistance.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you an example. I was in a restaurant with a friend, and I said, "Which ones are the gents?" And he said, "I think it's the one with the symbol where it looks like the guy's leaning on a bar."
Yeah.
Thank God for that, because you just don't know. I mean, it is the subtle things like that can actually add a lot of stress to a holiday, which obviously is not what it's all about, is it?
No, exactly. And you know, the companies that we work with, being an independent agency, one of the biggest ones is Wendy Wu that we work with. I've actually met Wendy herself, and she vets every single tour that she puts out there.
Right.
So you know that the quality of that tour is phenomenal, and they use the best guides that they've got there. And it's just a fantastic way to see the destination, and you always know you've got somebody there if anything was to go wrong, because we live in a world where things do go wrong. You know, we can't be naive to think that everything is smooth sailing, but it's knowing that who you're booking with and who you're travelling with is going to be there to look after you if anything does happen.
Yeah. I mean, Google Translate can only do so much, can't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
So Japan's popular, obviously, and for very good reason too. And you're saying Greece has changed its presentation a bit?
Yeah. So Greece is really sort of on the rise. Same with Italy is really on the rise. But Greece, I would say, so I used to work for Thomas Cook in Greece as a representative. And when I was there, it was very much box TVs, very hard beds. The accommodation wasn't great, but I would say over the last few years, Greece has really upped their game, and sort of the presentation of the hotels and the quality of the hotels. And I mean, you've got the likes of brands Ikos and Sani, which are absolutely fantastic brands. Domes, which is a fantastic brand. So there are so many now beautiful hotels that you can go and visit. And what's actually quite funny is I was costing it up the other day, Greece, and someone asked me then for Mauritius, and Greece was more expensive than Mauritius.
Wow. But would you say it was better value for money?
I would still say so, yeah.
Yeah?
I think Greece, offers a lot. I think the people are so friendly. I think the food is just amazing. I always tell people not to go all-inclusive because there's so many little tavernas around. And going to sort of the family tavern around the corner, you will get such an authentic Greek experience that you would never get at an all-inclusive hotel.
I mean, that's the joy of travel, isn't
Exactly.
it? You've got to do that. You've got to do that.
Yeah. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah, sure. So I think you mentioned you got a competition?
We do, yes. So we are giving a city break to Barcelona away.
Oh, nice.
So really, really easy to enter. So city break to Barcelona. All you need to do is go to our website, www.arrangeMyescape.com, and it's right at the top. Click on it and just fill in your details and you'll be entered. And I think we're pulling it in June. The terms and conditions are all on there. But yeah, one lucky winner is going to win a city break to Barcelona. So
Fantastic. That sounds great. Lovely. Well, thanks very much indeed for your time. You've obviously been extremely busy, and I managed to keep the crowds away. It's maybe what a camera will do, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But thanks for your time very much indeed, and I hope the rest of the show goes well. And as I say, folks, it is open till 2:30 this afternoon, so try and come down if you can. But I'm going to hand back to the studio now, and we're going to find our next guest. So what do you get when you get a room full of business people all trying to network and do speed networking? This is what you get. They've just started. They've got a minute and then they have to change and the circles rotate. So it's absolute mayhem. What I'm told by people that have done this before is you get about halfway through. I mean, bear in mind there's two circuits of about 20 or 30 people. You get halfway through and your throat completely dries up. So you've got to take a bottle of water with you and keep yourself moist, as it were. Now, don't forget, folks, that we're taking in comments from people, or if you have any questions of any of the people I've been interviewing, you can do so. But you can do that on the YouTube feed. So if you're watching on YouTube, drop it into the chat there and we can bring some of the questions in. But thanks to Millie and thanks to Rose for bringing in your messages, and if there's any more to follow, I've got a few more people to speak to before the end of the day. And there's the whistle, and they're changing over now to the next person they've got to speak to. So a minute to network. You've got to really polish your elevator pitch on that one. So I'm going to hand you back to the studio. Thanks to the guys for Millie and Rose, as I say, for making the comments. Hand back to the studio now, and we're going to go in hunt of our next guest. So I've made it to Hewett Recruitment, who are the headline sponsors of the Chamber Expo here. And I have Laura with me at the moment, and we're going to have a little bit of chat about how the recruitment world perhaps has changed a bit, and also the involvement with the Chamber. So good morning to you.
Good morning.
Obviously we are, whatever time it is now, 10 o'clock as it must be. How has it been for you so far this morning?
Really good so far. I think it's just suddenly got busy in here because everyone was listening to the budget update this morning, which was interesting. So yeah, it's good. We had a nice breakfast earlier. I think 260 people showed out for that, which is brilliant.
That's a lot of bacon sandwiches.
You're right.
So what are the features to you as being the headline sponsor here? Because obviously you're quite involved with the Hereford and Worcester Chamber.
Yeah, so we are patrons of the Herefordshire and Worcestershire Chamber. We have been for many years, so for us it's really important to support them because they support our local businesses. This event is really important, so our sponsorship helps them put it on twice a year actually, and really supports the marketing of the event too, so that it can be successful for all of the exhibitors here.
Recruitment in general must have changed over the last few years, really, with obviously coming out of COVID, but also the coming out of the Brexit situation and the staffing and so on. So what sort of trends have you seen?
So, I mean, a lot. So Brexit caused a lot of kind of seeing less foreign workers coming over, less European workers. So that caused a big skill shortage, particularly in kind of the lower level manufacturing type roles. So we're seeing companies moving to automation to try and keep their productivity high. And then since COVID, really, we've seen a huge move towards kind of people being more demanding in terms of what they want from work. So more of a work-life balance. They want to be able to work from home a few days a week. They want flexible hours so that they can make the most of their life rather than just working all the time. So it's kind of refreshing, but again, it is another challenge for businesses to accommodate.
I was listening to a Radio 4 programme about this actually only the other day, and they were saying that there's actually now that businesses are finding it a bit unusual that they're really having to sell the job to the recruited person.
Yeah, absolutely. I think given there's more jobs than there are people looking for jobs, so it is competitive. So you have to make sure that you've got the pay and benefits need to be right. So you need to be doing lots of benchmarking to make sure that you're selling the right opportunity. People want that flexible working, that work-life balance, and then also a big push at the moment is on kind of your culture and your purpose of the business, because people want to enjoy work and feel like they're making a difference within the company that they're in.
Talking about changes of cultures, obviously you've been in business a long time, recognise the Hewett name, but you're a B Corp now, and I think you have been for 12 months.
Yeah.
So how has that changed for you? What have you changed about your sort of ethos and business practices?
So becoming a B Corp was really important for myself and my business partner Ben. We actually bought the company off my mum at the end of 2021, and so this was kind of our way of making our own mark on the business. I feel like it's helped us to become a better run business actually, because we had to put lots of processes in place. But B Corp is all about focusing on the triple bottom line of people and planet, as well as your profits. So things like this kind of networking, bringing people together, being a great part of the community, reaching out to charities, having charity partners, looking after your employees is really important, being environmentally aware. So it's everything about still being a well-run and profitable business, but doing it in the right way.
And have you had many clients that have come to you purely because of that, or they've been aware of the benefits to them?
So I think a lot of our existing clients who we've highlighted it to have said that's brilliant, particularly I guess manufacturing clients, where they have to be so aware of their supply chain. You have to be responsible for your supply chain for the product that you end up selling. If they know that companies in their supply chain are a B Corp, they know straight away they don't need to worry about that.
Okay.
So that's been really useful, and it's definitely kind of a selling point there.
Excellent. Lovely. Well, I'm going to let you get back to what is a very busy day. It's turned out to be here. So thank you very much indeed for your time. I'm going to hand back to the studio, and we're going to go and look for our next guest. So we've continued our hunt round the Expo here. As you can hear in the background, it's still many, many people here. They've all started to appear on the floor after the various seminars that have been going on. I'm with Peter from Passman, and the topic of conversation obviously has been energy based, particularly these days with people trying to save as much cost as possible.
Yes.
So I would conclude then that you've been fairly busy with the idea of solar panels.
Yes, so we took renewable sector on a couple of years ago, and the solars took off quite well with the battery storage as well. It's a no-brainer now for domestic households and commercial households, and it works quite well with EVs and alongside like the EV charging. So a lot of people are charging from home now. So if you can get your EV all covered for free with your solar, and your house covered as well, and payback system from the government. So it has gone quite popular for our trade.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, I have to say that I've considered it myself, but as probably a lot of people are finding when they're sort of thinking of just exploring and looking online as you do, it's quite confusing about either finding a company to go for to get a quote, or if there are certain grants available and all this sort of thing. It just gets very confusing. Is there an easy way of sort of reducing that stress?
Yeah, so there's a lot of, if you look online, it's quite difficult to navigate, like you said.
Yeah.
A lot of companies aren't doing, they're not letting you know where your money is every step of the way. So if you use like a local company that know what they're doing, so like if you speak to us as a starting point, I'd come round, have a quick survey, explain all the points to yourself, and then every step of the way we'd guide you through it, so you never know what was going on. I'd let you know if there's any applications you're doing, so we literally guide you the whole way so you feel comfortable. So there's a lot of companies doing that as well, so find a good company to do it. The MCS accreditation is a good idea, because anyone MCS has gone through all the checks and they know that they're doing it all right, so that's probably the main thing, use an MCS engineer.
Okay. So could you just roughly describe what the process is then? So say for example, I've got a double garage, and it's south facing, and what are the stages I would go through to actually feel like I can cut my energy costs? Yeah,
so I'd come out initially, have a meeting with yourself, about half an hour to an hour. We decide what you want and what you're after, what your house is using, like how much energy your house uses.
And I'd find that from my recent energy bill,
Yes,
my bill.
We look at your bills for you. We look at the area you want to put the solar panels on, whether it's worth a big battery, a small battery, no battery. So we do always design it to your needs, and then I go back, draw it on. We have a clever software that designs it all. So I'll map it all out on your roof, draw it out, put all the information on there. That generates us an estimate, so I can come back with a price for you. Say this is roughly where we are. If you're happy with that, we'd come back for a second visit, allow you guys a chance to a week or so to think any questions for me, run through the paperwork. I'll do some structural calculations and snow loading, that sort of stuff, and just finalise the quote then. And if you're happy, we just get the ball rolling. That's as simple as that.
Well, it sounds very simple. I mean,
Yes.
there's no sort of structural integrity or structural strength that you need to do for something like a double garage roof. Will it take it?
9 times out of 10, the structural's okay. If anything under 15% is not considered needing structural calculations from an engineer, and it normally comes under that. There are scenarios where old roofs, or if roofs aren't in good condition, then it can affect it that way. So most of the time we get through plain sailing. You just have to make that precaution. So
right, yeah, sure. So again, just from the little bits of research that I've done, I know the prices have changed quite dramatically.
Yes.
But I seem to be under the impression that the solar panels themselves actually aren't that expensive.
No.
But it's the batteries and the other part of the system that actually is the bit that fluctuates, and you've got to make sure you've got the right quality battery.
That's right, yeah. So there's a lot of manufacturers out there, and there's a big price difference between them all. So you need to do research. We use a brand that we trust, and that I did my research because we designed it for 30 years. So I want to make sure that we have no callbacks, no problems, that we're fitting the right stuff. Unfortunately, there are people that fit the lower end, and it lasts 2, 3, 4 years, and customers don't know. So that's where there is that vagueness in the market. So that's where you need to use someone you can trust and can guide you through that process, really.
Okay, and sort of the final question then, obviously environmental issues are a big important part, and batteries will only last so long.
Yes.
Are the batteries recyclable, or are they repairable so that you can drop different cells, or however it works into them?
Yeah, so they are repairable. They tend to have like a 10-15 year lifespan, or so in a 30-year solar panel journey, you probably have to change that in the middle, and your inverter. But there's companies out there who are, instead of like scrapping them, there's companies that repair them, use them for other uses. So because it's a green area anyway, there's a lot of companies who making sure the recycling's green and the carbon footprints are better. So that's covered as well.
Brilliant, good, okay. Oh, well, I mean, and how's the show been for you so far?
Yeah, great, yeah. So a lot of energy here today. I think we had one last year, it's snow, so there was no snow this year, it's a bonus.
Yeah, that's a bright thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to hand back to the studio then, and we're going to look for our next guest. Thanks very much indeed, Peter.
Lovely.
Continuing our conversation about recruitment and employment, obviously in the rural area that we're in Worcestershire here, Herefordshire and Worcestershire, there are a lot of foreign employees, particularly for the agricultural community, but I'm sure for other technical communities as well. And maintaining those temporary employees and turning them into full-time employees is a completely separate ball game now. And I'm with Alexandra here, who's going to tell us a little bit more about some of the technicalities and some of the ways that people can keep their staff, their overseas staff, on a more permanent basis. So good morning to you.
Good morning.
So yes, that's the question really. If you have foreign temporary staff in a hotel or agricultural employee or whatever, what's the stages? How complicated is it to make that more permanent?
Yeah, it's relatively complicated. It's very specific, and there is certain criteria that you need to meet in order to be approved by the Home Office. And so that's what the company will have to do. They have to apply for something called a sponsor license, which they can then use to employ people who are already here in the UK and also people who are overseas.
Okay, and what mistakes do people sort of have they made, and you've no doubt been required to sort out for them?
Usually the wrong sort of information or documentation is sent to the Home Office and not enough information is given. So that's one of the reasons why the application can be refused, which then means that the whole process has to start again. So it really is worth getting an expert like myself to help with those applications.
Okay. So it's completely alien to me, so it's something that I haven't even considered, but obviously since Brexit it is obviously now quite important, and I presume that some of the overseas workers are actually quite qualified in whatever areas that they've trained in. So it's good to have that expertise coming into the UK. The time process, because I've heard various things in social media or on the news or whatever, that the actual time process to get somebody as a full-time employee is actually quite considerable, but you're telling me it's not necessarily that long, providing you've done the paperwork correctly.
Yes, that's true, and also there are priority options available if a company is prepared to pay some extra money, obviously, to the Home Office for the benefit of doing so. I will say that there are changes to the immigration rules coming very soon, in the next few weeks, at the beginning of April. The minimum salary threshold is going up, so if somebody wants to sponsor somebody from overseas, they have to pay them $38,700, which is a considerable increase from what it is at the moment. So if anybody does want to take advantage of the current rules and the current salary, you better get in now.
You better get on with it. Yes, I'd heard that figure was going up. 38,000, that's quite a lot of money. I mean, how's that going to affect the agricultural community?
Yes, I mean, I think a lot of farms, because they have reliable staff, then they will continue to employ them, but it depends on the size of the company and obviously how much they're prepared to spend on those staff. But that is one of the areas which is probably going to be affected by this change.
Sure. And final question, really, you say depending on how much money they pay the Home Office, what are the sort of fees involved in taking one person through the process?
Well, you're looking at about £7,000 altogether, and that's for Home Office fees, which are the main outlay that the company has to pay, as well as the visa fee and something called the immigration health surcharge, and my fees as well.
Wow. Do you think the government are doing this wrong? Do you think it could be easier or better or whatever? I mean, it seems like an awful lot of money, £7,000 to employ somebody. Fruit picking, it's not going to be sensible, is it? Really?
It's not for fruit picking. So fruit picking is a seasonal job, so they won't be paying those sort of fees.
No.
Those sort of fees are for people who want to work for up to 5 years and then probably get indefinite leave to remain and British citizenship in the UK. So it really is an investment for the individual and for the company to have them over here and their families as well.
Oh, so we're talking really technical engineers and something similar, something qualified.
It's all highly skilled work, although there are some exceptions, for example, welding, plumbing, bricklaying, building, all of those have become shorter occupations recently.
All right. Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for your time. Very interesting, very confusing as well, but if you're an employer, obviously Alexandra is the person to speak to help you with any overseas staff. So I'm going to hand back to the studio, and we're going to go probably over to the food court actually and speak to somebody regarding lunch. Now, the problem of being at an expo when you're next to a food court is all of a sudden the smells start wafting through and then having an effect on your stomach muscles, and as they have mine. And what can be the most enjoyable is obviously genuinely home-cooked Indian food. And I'm with Indy from Indys Kitchen, who is an authentic Punjabi.
Yeah.
Cook, and surrounded by lots of samples which I'm trying to keep my hands off while we talk about how she's developing her business. So Indy, how did it all start for you?
So it started, as many things have, during lockdown when I was making food for friends and family, and a lot of my friends said, "Oh, Indy, your food is really, really good." And to me it was just, well, actually this is just normal, this is just our normal food. So that sort of sparked an idea. So I have been in teaching for nearly 30 years. And what I started to do was I started to do little meals here and there, and then doing some takeout meals, etc. And I thought, oh, actually, if I could turn this into a business, it would mean that I could maybe retire from teaching a little bit early, maybe go into part-time, which is what I really wanted to do. So I did that last year. I went into part-time last year, and actually it's taken off so much that I'm now no longer a teacher, although I did love and do love the profession.
It's not what it used to be, though, is it?
It was getting increasingly harder. And I think the older you get, the harder it gets. And I'm on the older side now.
Well, let's skip that part. Let's skip that part. Let's get back to the food, because my wife was a teacher and she went through exactly the same things. You get to a point where you just don't want to keep doing this anymore. So, genuine Punjabi cooking, home cooked food, and you cater for obviously catering or cater for commercial events or small meetings, but you also do sort of private parties as well.
Yeah, so I do lots of little markets where I sell my samosas and pakoras and wraps and things. I do pop-up kitchen, so I've got a good link with Nothing Bound Brewery, and we're a regular there. We do our pop-up kitchen. He does the beer, which is amazing. We do the food, or he has other pop-ups there. So that's a regular. But then I also do big parties and weddings. We've done a few weddings. We've done outside weddings. We've done teepee weddings. I've got several weddings booked for this year, and it's just a little bit different than your traditional, let's say, pig roast or pizza provision. It's just that little bit.
But sociable food, though, isn't it? Indian food. A lot of it's about the social aspect and enjoying sharing time with each other as well as sharing food. And I mean, here you are at a business to business exhibition, really, rather than business to consumer, but you're getting a lot of interest. Yeah,
so people, so when it comes to wraps and samosas and pakoras, we're thinking about corporate lunches and how this is actually a nice change from your regular sandwiches, cold buffet type thing. So I've got that provision, and I've had a lot of interest with that. But also the whole, I'm having a party soon, or I need a wedding reception, or we're in the industry and can you help? So I've got the man with the tree houses. He's come over and said, could you do something for the group of, I've got 2 tree houses, a group of 8 people, and it's like, the more I can get out and about, the more I can do different events, the better, really.
Excellent. Well, congratulations. Obviously, it's great to have something start as part-time and then really take off, isn't it? So, and slightly more enjoyable than teaching, perhaps, on a good day.
Bringing people joy.
Yeah, lovely. Well, thanks for your time, Tim.
Thank you.
So, yes, surrounded by wonderful aromatic smells here, as you can tell, and I know that Jess back in the studio is very jealous at the moment, but we're going to move on to our next guest shortly. So back to the studio. As I've mentioned before, the networking zone behind us is a great place to meet people and network with them. And Naomi here is somebody that I've been talking to online through social, and she is from Calibre Virtual Assistants. And your first time here, I understand?
It is my very first time and loving today.
Yeah, you're enjoying it. Now, you tell me you've just done the speed networking. Is that a first as well?
That was a first, yes, but it was great. I was able to make, very fast and quick connections and meet very inspiring people.
I'm told that halfway through you get very, very thirsty and need a bottle of water, and also by the time you get to the end your elevator pitch is incredibly focused.
Absolutely, I think I really do need a coffee right now. Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I won't hold you up too long because I know you want to get that. So, virtual assistants.
Yes.
You presumably have a range of people that you call upon for different skills to assist people. What's the general inquiries that you're getting through? Because I've seen a lot of your social, obviously, through your social media and so on. What are people actually seeking assistance for?
Well, generally at the moment we are working with limited companies, directors who are looking for an affordable way to scale their businesses, and also who just want to be more productive, make better use of their time. So whether that's with an overwhelming inbox, managing inquiries, diary management, also just managing their social media strategies. Those are the main things that we're working with at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, I would have thought probably social media is the highest on the list there, because I've thought about virtual assistants myself over the years. And I think the problem that I would find hardest is to release the personal feeling of the emails. Is that a difficult thing that people find hard to let go of?
Yes, sometimes, but the beautiful thing about Calibre is that we do what's best for you. So we find what you're comfortable with, and then we create a solution for your bespoke needs. So for example, we have directors who are very happy for us to take over their inbox, and we come up with a strategy so we deal with their inbox in such a way at the end of the day so that when they wake up everything's sorted and they're ready for the day ahead. Or we manage a separate inbox. to which they forward all the inquiries so that they can still remain in control of their main inbox while still having less overwhelm. So there's always a solution to meet their needs.
Yeah, so I should imagine a lot of people, as their company's grown, their emails, a lot of personal contacts and stuff in there as well. So the social media, the administration, databasing, any sort of other services like sort of legal advice or anything like that, does that come into it?
So when I first started, actually, I did have a legal edge to the business because that is my background. But at the moment, with the team that I have, we are focusing on things like proofreading. We have an experienced proofreader within our team with over 30 years experience. So if you have marketing materials, reports, that's whom we outsource. As mentioned, we've got a marketing manager who deals with the social media strategy kind of things. We also have a qualified bookkeeper, for example. So if you need help with your accounting software or to get your things accountant ready, that's who we would outsource. So the really thing to take away about Calibre is that we have a team and each of the team members have a specific area of expertise so that we can solve specific pain points to a very high level.
Listen to this pitch. I can tell you've just come out of the speed networking. Focused, laser focused, laser focused. As I say, I've considered it myself in the past, but I've never gone to this next stage of actually asking how much this sort of thing costs. Now, no doubt it's a sliding scale like most things, but can you give sort of people an idea of what the starting cost might be? Is it like a retainer fee, or is it a per week, month, whatever?
Well, the beautiful thing again about virtual assistants is that they are self-employed, and so they are business owners in their own right, so they can set their own fees and rates. The standard fee at the moment, I would say, for a virtual assistant is between £25 up to £40 an hour. And then, so obviously, when you go and you look for a virtual assistant, you have to find the right fit for you. So I would make sure, my little tips finding the right virtual assistant is always making sure they are ICO registered, make sure they come highly recommended, that you can see who they've worked with before, and that they understand your company culture, so that you click. You want someone who cares about your business, who's not just in it, to make some profit. So if you find that real good business partner, then a conversation can be had.
Right, okay. And if somebody, like myself, for example, wanted to say, okay, I want to do a social media campaign for 1 month, just a one-off hit, is there a penalty just for being a short period of time?
Absolutely not. So again, with virtual assistants, depending on the type of virtual assistant you go for, there are some who are very good with one-offs, with short-term strategies, and others who focus more on long-term partnerships. So again, it's just about finding the right virtual assistant for you.
You're so slick, honestly, you really are. I'm not going to talk to anybody after speed dating again. It really is speed networking rather than speed dating. That'd be a nice thing. Anyway, yes, the show itself. Anything that's sort of taken your eye as being quite unusual, quite interesting, or not what you were anticipating here?
I just love the variety of different businesses. There's lots of charities here today as well. That's something which I'm personally looking into for my business. We really want to make sure that we take our social responsibility very seriously. So it's been a pleasure getting to know just the business landscape of Worcester. And I really find business owners so inspiring anyway, which is why I started my business in the first place. So just having all these different conversations, finding out what motivates people, what's driving them, their driving force behind their businesses. It's a great opportunity today to find that out.
Excellent. Are you Worcester? You're Worcester based, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
So are most of your clients local?
We have, I would say it's half-half to be honest, because local is great because as like events like these, you network, you find people, you meet people. But the remote nature of our business means that England, the United Kingdom, that's where we find our clients. So it's just about opportunities. But we're doing well. It's going well.
Well, lovely. Well, thank you very much indeed for your time, Naomi.
Thank you so much.
So there you go. Networking here obviously pays off. Speed networking in particular, by the sound of it. You heard that laser-focused pitch that she did there. That was excellent. Busy behind me, as always. The coffee machine is probably absolutely rammed, and I'm going to move on now to find our next guests. So back to the studio. Well, as we continue here at the networking zone at the Expo, the last person you expect to find is a martial arts expert. But I'm very fortunate to be joined by the networking ninja herself, Laura.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Who suddenly grabbed me as I was walking past, because we've been speaking online and we thought we must get together and must have a chat. So, this is Laura's playground. This is her speciality, networking, and here you are. So, how are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely fine. I mean, I've been to these events before as an exhibitor myself and as delegate, so I see both sides of what works and what doesn't. I think it's just about how you can make real relationship connections on the day, which is a little bit hard because there's so many people that have turned out, which is brilliant. And those that you don't manage to connect with, grab a business card and catch up with a coffee with them after.
So is there a technique, a skill to making the most out of it? Because I had a brief meeting with you a few weeks ago, and you were saying that people just, as I've done, you gather the business cards, you have your brief conversation. Exhibitors talk to 100 people that day and completely forget you. What's the best way to follow that through?
Yeah, so I think from a delegate's point of view, obviously to make you memorable, I talk about real life clickbait. So if you've got something that's bright, colourful on the day that makes you stand out, or even, so there's a lady here that's giving flowers out. It's a brilliant starter to start conversations. And then the conversation naturally flows there rather than talking about what's the weather like. And then from an exhibitor's point of view, it's about having a real life clickbait. So instead of you trying to chase people to come to your stand, it's about having something that's engaging, that creates sort of a natural environment rather than go straight into business talk.
So these stands like that one over there that's got whatever they are, memory buttons or something they've pressed.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they're good ideas, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Any interactive games, and it doesn't have to cost the earth either. I mean, if you've got a creative brain, just some bright, colourful balloons, music playing, just something that's going to engage people over to you, that's going to make you warm and approachable and friendly.
Okay. And so you're here today, obviously visiting as opposed to being exhibiting. How are you developing your sort of connections? Is there something different you're doing, or are you re-establishing old connections, people that you've met in passing?
A bit of both, really. I think avid networkers really do struggle on trying to get round people that they haven't spoken to as of yet, because it's always like a social catch-up. But that's the beauty of networking, because you build those relationships that then become friends. I've already today connected quite a few businesses together that I know, and I like that magic happening, bringing them both together, seeing if there's a lot of synergy, collaboration opportunities, and then hopefully in kind it will come back to me as well, because in networking that's what it's about. You have to give in order to receive.
Yeah. I mean, people buy from people, don't they? So it's all about relationships. It's all about relationships. Well, I'm starting a new podcast on Does It Make a Difference, and I'd very much like to have you as a guest on that podcast one day. Would you be able to come along and spend half an hour talking about how to get the best out of networking?
Yeah, I'll bless you with my presence, absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, if you can fit me in with your busy network.
With my networking ninja styles.
Yeah, absolutely. The one question I did want to ask about networking generally is that I've recently, I joined LinkedIn at the beginning of the year, and I've been to various network events, and there's obviously different structures to the events. They're very formal ones that have a sort of set memorandum for the day. You have ones where they limit you to a single seat, as they call it, a certain scale.
Absolutely.
Then you've got the other end of the scale, which is much more have a coffee and a chat and just sort of sit to the person next to you. Is there any particular one that works better than the others?
It really depends on the person and the industry that you're in. So you have to have a vibe, because if you're not going to gel with those people on a personal level, there's no point you being in the room, because like you say, people buy from people, and you could be the best at what you do, but if they don't like you, then they're not going to do business with you. My suggestion is try them all out once, get a feel for the people in the room, and it's because some hold you accountable, almost like an additional sales role on its own, having your own KPIs to match, because they like the accountability of business being passed. Whereas other ones, you turn up, you have a jolly, but there's no real, it's sort of airy-fairy, I will pass you business, but then you don't hear of them again. So it's finding which one works for you best, and that suits your personality ultimately as well. I just recommend trying them all out and seeing what's best fit for you.
Well, there you go. I never expected to get a martial art workout here at the Hereford and Worcester Chamber of Commerce Expo, but I've had it. You've had it as well. Thanks very much indeed, Laura. I'm going to hand back to the studio. I think it's only fair to give Nespresso a bit of a plug. They are doing free tea and coffee here today at the show, and as you can see, the queue has, it's actually died down now, which is quite incredible. But here we are getting towards midday, and people are obviously enjoying their teas and coffees. And as I say, It's open for a couple of hours, 2.5 hours yet, I think, before the show closes. The show closes at 2:30, and it is still free entry, free parking, and of course, free tea and coffee. But I'm going to let you go back to the studio now. Well, I can just see my other guest has just become free, so I shall be back very shortly. Like buses, live streaming, they all come along at the same time. So last few years there hasn't been any live streaming here at the Chamber of Commerce Expo, and all of a sudden this year there's two of us. There's me and there's Will from Moonrise Media. Morning, Will.
Morning. Nice to meet you.
My microphone's bigger than your microphone.
Yeah, but I got a bigger knob.
Oh dear, had to slip into that one. Will's obviously got a stand here at the show, and got his complete range of equipment, and he's managing to semi-stream or stream at the moment, and also bring inputs in from various places. So I thought it was only fair just to show that there's actually no harm done between collaborating companies, and that we're more than happy, in fact, to help each other along. So Will, tell me about what you've got laid out here.
Okay, so what I've got laid out here is my standard stream setup, which consists of this production cube, which is 45 kilos of kit that handles all the switching from the multiple cameras, and has got multiple monitors built into it, so I can keep an eye on everything. The monitor that we've got here, that's currently showing the multiple pictures, that would be the front of house thing, and I would show the normal sort of program output on that. But just so we can see it a bit easier, we've got it up here. And that's all configured through the little sort of programmable keyboard, because my background, my career background is in software development, so I'm very good at configuring technology and making it work for me. So I can do an awful lot with technology before I need to bring someone else in. Sometimes you need to bring in a second op if you're going to operate multiple cameras that you're going to be, focusing on, and that's where collaboration with people like yourself comes in. And also, I think this, where at the moment, certainly with what you're doing here, is a slightly different market. I wouldn't be able to do the very portable live stream that you're doing. I can be portable, for example, at a funeral where I can follow the procession to the grave, but there I'm beaming back to this home base, which is then going out through the aerial out, rather than sort of being very maneuverable such as you are. And there's, although I think businesses need educating, I think there's plenty of room in this space for the live stream.
Well, I think streaming itself generally is taking a different route now, and it's established itself really as a sort of the authentic way to get a message across. But there's also the practical side of it, like you say, like funerals and weddings and so on. There are a lot of people that are saving money by not travelling to another country to be a guest at an event. And streaming is certainly becoming a very affordable part of that. So today we've got 5 cameras. You've got one at the top there, I notice.
That's right.
That's peering down on us. I think you're just calling that up now on screen. Okay.
So we've got the wide camera.
Okay, yeah, you can tilt down now. Hang on, you can just tilt down now to the. Do you want to take it back to the other one again? That's it, the overhead, because it's now on screen. And then we've got the other cameras here as well, which are a whole variety of very nice, expensive cameras with these good lenses on. And do you want to just bring up one of those as well, or one of the ones at the back there, perhaps?
So we've got that's this one here.
Yeah.
We can switch to this one here, and then we're getting video feedback now.
Yeah.
This is this one. And this is this one.
Okay, we'll just leave those on there for a second. So the expo today, then the show itself, has it been of interest? We've had a lot of inquiries, or at least people wanting to know more?
This is the first time I've done an expo. So that experience is a new experience for me. The conversations that I've had haven't been numerous, but the ones I've had have been of high quality. It's been quite useful being stuck next to the coffee queue. And there was a lady I just collared now to say, can I talk to you while you're waiting for the coffee? And she's turned into a potential lead for something. So that was on the impact films, where she deals with ESG, environmental social governance, and that's where showing why people are doing what they're doing really can make a difference to them.
Okay. Well, let's just talk about that for a second then, because obviously streaming is one thing, but the social films, the impact films that you're doing, you sort of have a particular area that you like to concentrate on.
Yeah, so I'm all about people that are making a difference to the world, making an impact on the world. And so I've been doing some work with charities, and interestingly, a local photographer who called himself an ethical photographer. So we explored why he talks about being an ethical photographer. But I think that if you can use story to really move people into action, and a fantastic example that we had over Christmas was Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. That was albeit that was a drama, but there was a story behind that, obviously, that brought things to attention and literally changed the law almost overnight in terms of the speed that government moves at. It was almost instantaneous, the impact that film had. So stories that are well told, that really resonate with people emotionally, do make a difference, not just in the world, but to companies' bottom line.
Yeah. Excellent, excellent. Well, I hope that the rest of the show goes well for you. There's another two and a half hours, 3 hours to go. So I'm going to hand back to the studio now and go in hunt of my next guest. There's no point in me trying to queue for a coffee because the queue's still huge. I'm not surprised if it's free. So we're going to hand back to the studio and I shall be back shortly.
Okay.
Yes, it is getting towards lunchtime and naturally you gravitate back to the food hall for the samples which you can obtain if you're lucky enough to be at the Veg Life stand, as well as some of the other ones, of course. Now I'm with Rhiannon from Veg Life, and you can tell me rather than me to explain what you've been doing, but your Scotch eggs I know are getting a lot of attention.
They are. They're not a conventional Scotch egg, that's why. So these are made entirely from plants. They replicate the egg in appearance, texture and taste. I used to lead expeditions around the world to East Africa, South America and Southeast Asia, doing wildlife conservation, reforestation work. And then the pandemic happened, not great for the travel industry. So I moved back to Malvern from my home in Dubai, which is not too dissimilar. As you can imagine.
I could just imagine, bikini's different. Yeah.
And so I wanted to continue my passion for sustainability and thought, what better way than through the power of food? And that restriction came around where you required a substantial meal to enjoy a pint at the pub. And a Scotch egg had its moment of glory as it was deemed a substantial meal, and saw that as an opportunity to take my creation to market. And then over the last 3 years we've just been building our wholesale listings, and we're stocked all across the country. Our main stockist is Gloucester Services, which is pretty...
Is that the big...
Teletubby land.
Yeah.
The very nice one on the M5 that looks a bit like Teletubbies. But
I can't believe how many people actually go there for shopping.
Yeah, people go for a day out. It's great. You get 3 hours parking, you can go for a nice walk and then go shopping and have a lunch.
I know. Different worlds. So, okay, if it's not giving away trade secrets, what's the meat replacement and that sort of thing for people who are... Now, it's vegan as well as vegetarian, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So it's not a real egg. So the egg itself is made from potato and soya, and then the casing is soya and wheat protein. They don't compromise nutritionally. They have exactly the same amount of protein as a chicken egg. They've got 7 grams less fat than a traditional Scotch egg and a fifth less calories. So they're both better for the consumer as well as better for the planet.
And they taste just as good, I understand.
They taste just as good.
I will find out in a minute.
We've had many people today that didn't realise that they're vegetarian, let alone plant-based. So the proof is in the concept, I think.
Yeah, brilliant. So there's obviously a concern these days about processed foods and heavily processed foods. So the items the ingredients to go into making these, do they fall outside that category?
Yeah, so it's all natural. We use a secret ingredient, well it's not so secret, but an ingredient called Kaleniuk, which is a sulfuric salt, and it gives it that egginess. Okay. So it's a natural preservative that you can introduce to replicate the eggy. It smells very eggy when you're making it.
Right.
We use turmeric to colour it, so all natural flavourings as well.
Lovely. And you were just telling me before we went live there that there's sort of community projects that are starting to move forward for you as well.
Yeah, so I don't like to have too much free time on my hands, so I've set up a community interest cafe just outside of Malvern. It's at Cradley on the main Hereford Worcester Road. It's going to be open as a cafe on a Saturday and Sunday, and then with pop-up events on a Friday with different themes and cuisines. But the main aspect of it is to have a community interest, so Thursdays will be open to everyone. Whether that's anyone struggling with mental health issues, any learning difficulties, to come and get involved in some agriculture and horticulture. It's so beneficial. It's a natural therapy, and just being out in nature is really, really beneficial to everyone.
Super, lovely. Well, I wish you all the best for that. It sounds like a lovely idea, as well as obviously the food's a great success, and the idea of a Scotch egg and a pint does all of a sudden appeal at this moment in time. But the final question has to be, after this obviously few years of success and building this up, would you go back to Dubai from Malvern?
I wouldn't go back to Dubai. I'd go back to Kenya in a heartbeat. And I was fortunate enough to go and lead 60 students last year for my old company. But no, I wouldn't switch it. It's allowed such great opportunities, and it's really exciting how it's growing.
Good. And you had a lot of response here as well, you were telling me.
Yeah, so made some real good connections. We're quite well known as the vegan Scotch egg lady now. We've had lots of people come over and say hello, and also made new connections as well. And also it's just that community aspect. Malvern and Herefordshire and Worcestershire are great for supporting one another within business.
Brilliant. Well, there you are, folks. You heard that from Rhiann. Again, all credibility to the Expo and the people behind actually putting the event together. It is a great community, and there's certainly a lot of buzz in the room, isn't there? There's a lot of people talking with each other and sharing information. So I'm going to hand back to the studio now, and we will look for, I think, our final guest of the stream. Still maintaining my position in the food and drinks area, it is my pleasure to stand behind a very attractive stand next to the lovely Lisa from Piston Distillery, and we're going to talk a few minutes about some of the products that she's got, but also some of the things that are happening down at the Piston Distillery, and also the association with a Malvern company in particular. So good morning or good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
It's been a long morning, hasn't it?
It has already. Yes, early start.
And has it been good for you so far?
It's been lovely. Yeah, I've made a lot of really good connections, met some really nice people, which is most important, and given away a few gins, which people love.
Well, I like the sound of that one, strangely enough. I like the sound of that one. Now, you've obviously saw you here last year, and I think the previous year, would that be right?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. We've been going since 2018.
Okay.
Obviously with the blip in the middle for COVID, like everybody, which we diversified like a lot of people and made hand sanitizer. But we're now up and running again, making our beautiful gins and our new product, which is Cafe Piston Coffee Tequila.
Okay, well, let's have a look at this then. So this is tequila now?
It is tequila.
No, the process, I went to a gin tasting not so long back, and the actual process of making gin isn't very long compared to whiskey, for example.
It isn't very long.
What about tequila? Is that quicker than gin? Or?
It can be, but we buy our tequila in from Mexico. You have to, in order for it legally to be tequila, because it has to come from the agave plant, which obviously we don't grow in this country.
Okay,
so we steep coffee in it that comes from a coffee purveyor in Gloucestershire. It sits in there for 24 hours, and then we take it out and we sweeten it. And this in particular has just been an incredible product for us. It's very viscous, it's sweet, it's a beautiful after dinner drink, beautiful just over ice, or personally I drink it over ice cream, like affogato, and that is phenomenal. And that's our latest product.
Are you, yeah. That's
Will I make one for you in a minute? Yeah. I have seen some ice cream milling around, so maybe I could.
Yeah. What a lovely. Well, I have to say, I've not really been experienced much tequila at all.
Okay.
And the only tequila I've got in mind is when people have it with a lemon and a salt and all the rest of it. But this is obviously a different thing altogether.
It's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with the invention of lime and salt made it into a ritual.
Right.
This is definitely not a ritual. Well, it could become one because it's very easy drinking.
Okay, lovely. That sounds great. Now, the other association you've got obviously with Malvern is the Morgan Car Company.
It is indeed.
You've got a charming story with the gin associated with that.
We have. We make gin for lots of other people. We make what are called white label gins. So usually using the London base, which is this. This is our London dry gin, which is the foundation for all of the gins we make. Morgan Cars actually send us the ash chippings that come off the chassis of the Morgan, and we infuse it into the gin. So you are literally drinking Morgan Carr in your gin. The only way you can get it is you can buy one at the distillery at Piston, or you can buy one from Morgan, because we don't sell it commercially. Or then, of course, when you purchase a Morgan Carr, there's one in the back seat for you. No drink and drive.
Yeah, I don't know which actually is more affordable, really.
Definitely walking down to the distillery in Worcester.
I think so. Talking of which, you're obviously got quite a presentation room there. Lovely view overlooking the canal, or
Yes.
the boatyard there. What sort of events do you have happening down at the site?
We've only been in our new site since August of last year, so we're
really?
very We've renovated the building completely. Nick, who was the founder of the business, went in and we've renovated the whole thing. We're kind of feeling our way with events. So, for example, this Sunday we've got a Mother's Day bottomless brunch that we're doing. We have a cocktail bar which is open on Saturday nights from 6 till 10. You can come in and have some of the best cocktails in the county, I would hasten to say. Sam, who is our resident mixologist, will be there and make you cocktails, and he does invent lots of different things. We did an event for Valentine's Day where people came to us and did a gin tasting and had food, and he invented 3 cocktails for that will never be repeated again.
Oh, right.
So he likes the challenge. He likes to give me something to create. So yeah, we're doing that for events, and then we've got gin and jazz on Sundays that we do, where people come and sit, have lots of nice drinks, have some nice food from Cafe Afloat, who we're associated with, listen to some great music. It's very, very chilled.
I've seen your social. I've seen your social on that, and I was thinking I have got to make an effort to come down on the Sunday afternoon, because that really looks perfect, especially if the weather's decent and you've got the doors open there on the water.
Exactly, and I think as the summer progresses, we'll be doing more and more events like that.
Right.
But as I say, having only been in there since August, lots of really good things to come. We're also going to have our own ice cream in there, made with Piston gins, which will be in time for the summer, hopefully in time for Easter.
You're doing the tequila ice cream?
We might do a tequila ice cream. Yes, funny you should say that.
I might be down in summertime then. Anyway, Lisa, thank you very much indeed for your time. It's been lovely to see you and talk to you once again, and I'm pleased that obviously the show's been a great success for you.
Lovely.
Well, I'll probably see you here next time in that
You
case.
can enter our competition to win a gin school.
Oh,
So you can come to us and make your
I've
own
got
gin.
my cards here somewhere. I'm here somewhere. Right, well, I'm going to hand back to the studio now. Thanks very much indeed to Lisa and Piston Gin, obviously, for their time, and I think we're pretty well near the end of the stream. But back to the studio and we'll do a final piece. And so we are pretty well concluding our stream here at the show. We've been on for about 3 hours now, and as you can tell, talked to a whole variety of people, and also shown you some of the things that have been going on, like the speed networking and the networking zones and the food zones and the other zones that are going on. There's so much. But every business has a system. Every business runs to a system. My little business runs to a system, and obviously much larger businesses, engineering businesses, employment, recruitment, and that sort of thing. Everybody's got a system, and Coacto are people that help you streamline that system and put processes in place to make it more effective. Would that be a fair description, Paul?
Yeah, that's a pretty good description. I think every business, you're right, does have a system. Every business has processes. And really what we see is where those business systems and those processes are aligned, it enables companies to operate efficiently, effectively, deliver good customer service, but most importantly to meet their objectives and to scale and grow. And so we help organisations with that business system and business process alignment.
Now, I hadn't really considered it as a development of a business. You know, you always think about social media and marketing and all the other sort of things, which I suppose are tangible if they can be tangible. But sort of streamlining your system or getting a system more effective is obviously quite a good way of saving money, as well as being more effective. What I'm curious to know is sort of like today at the Chamber here, what type of businesses have been shown interest in what you can do for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the kind of thing that we do applies to any type of business, because every type of business manages information, and that information usually sits in a system somewhere, from something like a spreadsheet like Excel to a CRM system like Salesforce.com. And so the type of businesses that we can serve is almost any business actually, because most businesses do the same kinds of things. They have customers, they have suppliers, they need to pay bills, they're receiving money in, they're sending products out, or they're delivering services. And so for us, systemizing businesses that have all of those common components is actually really straightforward. And so we can support almost any type of business, actually. In fact, we haven't been unable to build a system for anybody that's approached us previously. And that includes building systems where it might link to an existing system. So we're working with an engineering company at the moment. They have their own supply chain management system. We took Salesforce.com, we implemented that for their salespeople and their marketing people and some of the other departments in the business, and then we linked it together with their existing system. So now they have two core systems in the business. One is running the front end of the sales and the operations, and then the second system that we integrate with is running the back end operations and fulfillment of the products to their customers.
So a potential client then doesn't have to worry so much that you're going to wipe their system out and start again. You can actually integrate with, well, I mean, I mentioned QuickBooks because it's the first one that comes to mind, or
Yep.
Sage or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. And for us, it's really about trying to find the right products to meet the business needs. So some folks might go in and say, well, who's done that? And like a builder might say, oh gosh, who put that in? They have done a great job. We don't do that. We look at it holistically and say, what is it you need? And then align the right tools and the right systems to support those needs. And that may mean linking with existing systems, linking with things like QuickBooks. We're just doing a project actually at the moment, as you mentioned, QuickBooks, where there is a medical devices company that rents and sells equipment to drugs companies. So we've built a system to enable them to manage that sales process, that fulfillment process, the rental process, or the invoicing process, and all that data ultimately ends up in a finance system in QuickBooks because somebody needs to pay their bills. And so their customers pay them, and we manage all of those payments for them in the system that we put together.
Right, so I mean, taking QuickBooks for example, I use it myself, so it just gives you the basic input of regards, this is the item, this is where you got it from, and this is where it's going, but all the subtleties of the relationship you have with that potential customer or client or more clients just isn't in there. So presumably this is some of the things that you're talking about you can assist with?
Yeah, I mean, and I think for businesses managing that information, they're managing their digital assets, and that information has value, and often that value is untapped in an organisation. People need to be able to report on that information. They need to be able to make decisions based on that information. How are our sales going? Are we getting enough leads in order to meet our sales targets? Those are the kind of questions you can ask if you've got the right systems and the right information in place. And accounting systems, you're right, don't capture that information, but what they do capture is the end results of those conversations that turn into opportunities, that turn into deals and orders. And it's about, again, having the right system in place for the right job. So most organisations will have a system to manage their customers, manage their sales. They'll have operational systems to manage the fulfillment of those products and services. But then those transactions end up in the accounting system because you've got bills to pay and money to receive in.
Right. So if anybody wants to find out more and get a consultation perhaps and get some more detail about if you can help them, and how you might help them, how can they do that?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, which is coacto.co.uk. You can also email us at hello@coacto.co.uk. And we're currently offering a free 2-hour consultation. So if you have some challenges in your business, you have systems that aren't quite working well for you, you think you maybe might need to change, or you just want to chat about your business and your systems, get in contact with us, we'll set something up and we'll see if we can help you.
Excellent. And you're based in Worcester?
We're based in Cheltenham,
in
central Cheltenham, but we cover the UK. We have some customers in the US as well, so we're not averse to working outside of our normal geography.
Yeah, it'd be a nice quick day trip to nip over to the States, wouldn't it, just for a meeting?
Yes, we did. Well, we were over there actually back in January for a couple of weeks visiting some customers in Dallas, some customers in New York. We've got a partner organisation based out of New Jersey.
Curious question then, why isn't anybody in America offering the same sort of service?
Well, they are, and I think it's really about what we specialise in. So we're really good at putting in place sales systems, services, systems for customer service, for example, but we also specialise particularly in supply chain, manufacturing and ERP systems that connect the dots from e-commerce through sales, through operations, with those transactions, as we spoke about, ending up in a finance system. And that's our sweet spot. We do that really well, but not everybody does all of those pieces and joins all of those dots together. They might do little pieces of that.
Excellent. Okay, folks, well, there you go. If you've got a business or you know people have got a business that have systems and they've complained that it's not doing what it's supposed to, as my wife does, she kicks the computer, it won't do it, then obviously getting your systems looked at, and Coacto is a place to come. So I'm going to hand back to the studio now, and we will be back shortly for our final piece, I guess. Well, folks, we have got to the end of the stream. We started at 9 o'clock and it's 1 o'clock now, so that's 4 hours of being a mobile stream. My thanks to Rob behind the camera. He's been very patient and very good to keep going with us and set up, and also to Jess back in the studio. As you can see, I'm in front of the Chamber of Commerce stand. Obviously well worth joining the Chamber of Commerce if you can, but they do run a lot of free events as well, and it's worthwhile getting involved and seeing what's about there for networking purposes as well as improving your business skills. They are actually offering a 30-day, I believe, free membership at the moment, so go on the Hereford and Worcester Chamber website to check that out. Now, as I said, today live stream has been just me and Rob with the camera gear. As you can see how portable it's been, so we're able to move around all sorts of events and sites and produce a quality stream like this with all sorts of information as and when you wish. We've had a few comments come in, but nowhere near as many comments as I was hoping for, but I think people are just generally nervous about some of the things that take place when you're on a live stream. But thanks to Rose for her comments as well, that's been fantastic, and to Millie very early on. Now, the Three Counties Live service is obviously as portable as this, or we can be very similar to Will's service that's set up a actually mini studio for you if you have an event and you want to have a chat show type situation. But we're looking for clients that are in the exhibition and events marketplace. And currently we are doing that. And currently we're working obviously here at the Three Counties ground, but we're also working at the NEC as well, and we're at an event in a couple of weeks' time, the Outdoor Expo at the NEC. So if you keep us on your subscription list, you'll get to see that as well, and we'll be talking to various stands, exhibitors and brands, and also sharing some of the bargains and deals that they may have. So I think to conclude, I just want to say thanks to everybody involved, thanks to all my guests that came along, and, well, say came along, I captured really, didn't I? You know, I collared my guests that joined in with the stream. It's been really good to have some positive information. It is, what is it, just gone 1 o'clock as I say now. It doesn't close till gone 2:30, and it is still buzzing here. The coffee queue is still very, very long, and everybody is obviously still enjoying themselves and networking, either catching up with friends or making new ones. So with that all said and done, I'm going to wrap it all up now. So thanks very much once again, and hand back to the studio. Thanks for watching.
Three Counties Live is a live streaming service for events, exhibitions and promotions. We're here to help you improve your return on investment, reach a larger audience, and increase the sales opportunities for organisers, exhibitors and sponsors. There are numerous cost-effective ways we can achieve this depending on your needs. To find out more, please contact us on any of the usual channels.